Greetings, people. It is I, the director, and I thank you for joining and listening to today's PnD cast for Gamma Haven, as well as some other PnD information. I also want to express my utmost gratitude for you all and your support. From those of you who hit the like button on every video, salute to you, Void Mackay. To those who subscribe to the channel, and of course, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters, ACG, Darrell, Ellie, Gotham Pop, Grazel, Lee, Legacy, Rezanok, Riaz, Rich, Tri-Fate Saga, and the Fantastic Pooh. On a side note, that is his gamer tag. And he said that he chose that gamer tag so that people would have to say it. God damn it. The Fantastic Pooh, ladies and gentlemen. So, I will first recap the past episodes swiftly with some interesting facts mixed in. I will then announce the results of your story arcs, as in where your character stands currently in-game. Then, I'll announce the rank shifts of each player in the episodes, as well as rewards. I then will be giving every player a reward for their role-playing in the finale. Some of you will even get some extra perks. Perks are special rules that I make just for your character, likely based on what you did, have achieved, or for something that I identified in your character and want to let you explore. I'll then answer questions that the viewers submitted through the Anchor app or wrote us in the contact form on pndrpg.com. I'll try my best to answer and clarify everything, but if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. The PnD cast is meant to bring clarification to the meta. And lastly, I'll go over some updates for PnD as a whole, and then we're going to head into Village. Let's recap. The final phase consisted of 5 episodes, each with a purpose, each outcome meant to set the table for Season 2. Earlier in the season, the players had the choice of taking sides. The sides being with or against the Survey Day cult. I knew I wanted there to be a Survey Day invasion, and it was fun to see which characters opposed, aligned, or performed drive-by shootings up and down the districts. No one could contend with the circumstances they were in, and I knew if the light couldn't destroy them, the tank would, and Haven would be erased. That was the ultimate outcome. It was your character's actions up to this point that counts. If you were victorious and or successful, you were successful up to a certain point before the event would finish you off. This is how I chose to end Season 1 in order to introduce the next season's focus. I do think it sucks that this episode, for a lot of you new players, is your first event phase set to be an automatic loss. But in reality, it's not a bad thing, because it serves as a major story moment, and in the grand scheme of things, the game is just getting started. At minimum, it was an ego check. I understand everyone loves their characters, but also understand that there will be bad and good times. 77 Steps Ahead was an event exclusively for Nam, Dravko Maz, and Six. It involved Deftude wanting a specific person captured for a mysterious reason, and the target ended up being Rezanok, which is why Rezanok was pulled from the event. Sustained chaos. As the instigator orchestrates flawlessly from the outside, Deftude orchestrates his agenda and will have no issue ambushing Rezanok. The awesome thing was that Rezanok's submission specifically stated that he'd to be on guard and ready for anything, and I wanted to express that by his keen performance against Nam and Drav. Nam, Drav, and Six battle with Rezanok in order to capture him alive, and Six is killed by Rez in the process. Six is an NPC and one that I was playing in order to fulfill an agenda. Rezanok was outmatched by Nam Ki and Dravko Maz, and after a brawl in the ruined streets, they managed to capture Rezanok alive, barely, as Drav almost killed him. Nam Ki's combat discipline, prowess, and nuclear emotions made her more than capable of handling Rez, giving her an edge over him. And Drav's impenetrable scales held up well against Rez's elements. The two combined against Rez made for an almost sure win. They took Rez to Deathtude, and the Safe Haveners escaped from the tank into Nam's subconscious by way of Six's psyche-sealing rituals taught to Nam by Deathtude. The scene with Nam and Drav going to get burgers was a mixture of both of their submissions, both saying something about getting burgers. Drav wanted burgers from District 9, and Nam created these snacks or some food items in the Discord server called Nom Noms. So that was a great place, if any, for them to show up. Facts. This event named 77 Steps Ahead is referring to Deathtude's knowledge of the meta experiment being conducted in the tank and how he is likely always steps ahead of the instigator's actions. This is how he stays hidden and alive within the tank amongst many powerful G-types. 77 is also the cycle that the tank is on. Facts. The fight between Drafko Maz, Rezanok, and Nam was a perfect chance to display the level of toughness that Drafko Maz possesses. Powerful strikes from a powered-up Rezanok capable of obliterating armor still fractured upon his hide. Facts. Rez went into the fight with energy, fire, and wind manipulation, turning him into a force of nature. We also were seeing a darker instinctual Rezanok manifesting, and is a nod to what his solo series Rezanok Origins will be about. Facts. A special detail that Nam Ki added was that she wanted an innocent person to be harmed in the confrontation, and then she wanted dice to be rolled to see if it would have an effect on her emotions. This manifested when Rez was harming a bystander, which is exactly what Rez would do as he tries to figure her out. She reacted with rage, thus fueling her power even more. Sustained Chaos is the main event everyone had access to, and is where the cult forces unleashed their full attack on Haven and any who stand in their way. This event's enemy was the Survey Day cult, all the chaos that the Survey Day cult created, Anarchy 12 and all of his android army, and any other characters who sided with the Survey Day and or Anarchy 12, such as Poke Turner. It resulted in a massive difficulty spike. Looper and Jax vs. Rifmusin vs. Psycho vs. Wang Gang. Looper attempts to flee from Noxious Wong and the Wang Gang, all while keeping civilians safe. Jax Erlin heads straight for Rifmusin, who is brought to the battlefield by Poke Turner. A showdown occurs when Looper and Jax end up fighting Rifmusin, the Wang Gang, and Psycho, who is a new character with an insatiable bloodlust. Though Jax's target was Rifmusin, Psycho intervened and was quite the foe for both Looper and Jax while under fire by the crime families. The event kills Jax Erlin by way of Noxious Wong. Psycho didn't keep him there, she just made it so that he couldn't sense the flames approaching. Psycho is then killed by the event by way of Rifmusin, and not too long after, Looper is killed, but not before destroying Rifmusin's head, but wasn't enough to slay the G1. Looper was kicking Rifmusin's ass because that's what a fight would look like between a scrapper and a sorcerer who is immortal. Facts. This was a three-way battle. Everyone who was aligned versus the event. This meant Looper and Jax versus Psycho versus the event, which encompassed the Survey Day, Noxious Wong, and every other chaotic lunatic, along with the androids provided by Anarchy 12. Facts. The lunatic screaming at Looper had a message for him. The lunatic was out of his mind and in another world, so it made no sense to Looper. Facts. Atlas Gate vs. Anarchy 12. Meanwhile, Atlas Gate forces consisting of Jeremiah's privatized troops and the Gate Center's most experienced agents head to war with the Survey Day cult, Anarchy 12, and his army. Surprisingly, despite Jeremiah having allies that took the same mission, they each were following their own agenda. Jeremiah was rolled up against the Survey Day, Anarchy 12 and his army, as well as Poke Turner. The odds were stacked. Jeremiah received a bonus for having Atlas Gate soldiers with him and an awesome battlesuit, to name a few, but the battlesuit also lowered his odds when in consideration of him being faced against Anarchy, making him clay in Anarchy's hands, reminiscent of Wolverine vs. Magneto. The landslide victory was expressed with a preemptive attack that wiped out majority of Atlas Gate forces. The Atlas Gate soldiers and the experienced agents were more than enough for Anarchy's army. However, the king's hand was just too much. The only reason Anarchy didn't get a chance to kill Jeremiah was because technically, Ryan Zaidi already secured the victory from the jump in his long plot to attack Jeremiah. So Anarchy let him go. Maybe to sick his new monster on him, or maybe he just didn't see the value in him. By the way, the monster is Wrath Chimera, but it's spelled like Chimara, not to be confused with Chimera. This is how it was submitted. The Chimera then wiped out the remainder of Jeremiah's forces. Jeremiah escapes and is then ambushed by Ryan, impersonating a random nerd from the city. With Ryan's ability to copy DNA, his hand was a copy of another hand, and so Jeremiah's power worked on the true Ryu Henshin. This is obviously because Ryan won his role. Ryan is dangerous because he will almost always have a stealth bonus and planning bonus on his targets. The only way to nullify his bonus is to be expecting an assassination attempt on you, and submitting your countermeasure to something like that might be wise if you think you might be a target. Do you waste a bullet point on countermeasures for Ryan Zaidi, or risk it? Does Ryan have a method to his madness at all? Is he just shooting fish in a barrel? Are you next? It was hard trying to make Jeremiah's two bodyguards effective in midair. They provided little bonus. Having to fight in midair was essentially a result of the landslide victory, even allowing a preemptive strike. Atlas Gate were not prepared for firepower like that from Anarchy's ship. Facts. The Wrath Chimera theme produced by the Geek Squad was named Spit before the Geek Squad even knew it would be used for the machine that was written to use its napalm spit on everyone in the scene. The theme carries a similar sound to the Gamma Haven theme song. The Geek Squad said when they were making it, they were picturing a battle on a rooftop at nighttime. To which I asked, like on some Batman Beyond type shit? And they said yes. Facts. I had an alternate scene planned where instead of bringing the Wrath Chimera to the rooftop to fight the remaining Atlas Gate forces, Poke Turner would bring it onto the ship after Tempest left. The reason I couldn't do that is because I didn't want Rezanok tangoing with a creature that was from a different event that he's not part of. Because remember, Rezanok is not part of Sustained Chaos anymore. He is now pulled into 77 Steps Ahead. And I needed to justify separating Rezanok from everyone. A clean environmental hazard or explosion was all that we needed. Facts. Myra, Saoirse, in Anarchy 12. We see Myra using the chaos in the city as an opportune time to hunt for ex-thieves that she worked with in the past who have betrayed her. She also seems to have taken hostage a cult member to feed off of and acquire knowledge of Takena magic, or at least the semantics of it. Myra takes out her targets one by one, all while causing rage-misted crazies to go crazy as Atlas Gate soldiers get the publicity as they clean them up, despite the camera feeds being hijacked by Anarchy 12. We are introduced to Saoirse, who we learn is the instigator's first big project that has gone missing in the tank for unknown reasons. She seems to be like a daughter to him and is the first G-Type 2 prototype. She has the aura vitae, an aura of life energy, but is also capable of quite the opposite, turning life into monstrosities when her mental state is thrown off. This is likely the origin of the mass mutation effect that caused the gamma feed. We'll find out for sure. Saoirse follows Myra, all while healing the injured in the city, single-handedly combating the frequency of chaos. She catches up with Myra and sees that she has been captured by Anarchy's new android, the Wanderer, who then captures her. The instigator convinces Anarchy to let her go when Zamina convinces the instigator not to scrap the G-Type 2 Saoirse. The instigator reveals the three sisters, Amelia, Serenity and Rose are clones of Saoirse and are also G2s. To clarify, a G-type 0 is a person whose mutation has not awakened, but has a mutation nonetheless. Everyone is a G0 until they mutate and become G1s. It is still a mystery as to what makes a G2 different from a G1. And if Saoirse is the first G2, then what was improved with the three sisters? Now, Anarchy 12 attended this event, and Myra is not an ally of his, and they cross paths. In Anarchy's submission, he is using his android army perk to send 2 androids out to hunt those who oppose. This causes a penalty to the character's odds of success who is inhabiting the event that he's sending his androids to. Not to mention, Anarchy is at exceptional rank, making him 3 ranks higher and able to kill Myra. This is why Myra was captured as opposed to being killed, because the player of Anarchy expressed wanting to capture the targets he hunts. More on this later when we discuss rewards. Saoirse turns life into monstrosities if her mental state is off. I don't know if the player planned this, but that is exactly what happens to G-types when they go through mass mutation. This in turn let me put Saoirse in her role as the G2. Facts. Zamina seems to oppose the instigator on almost everything. Facts. Anarchy's Gorgon is watching Saoirse. If Anarchy 12 can retain his memories, he will then have remembered everything that the Gorgon saw, therefore revealing where Saoirse is hidden. Facts. Shaded from Light was an event exclusively for Timbris and Virus, who I had directed their paths into the Shade District, a rendezvous point for G-types looking to adopt Anarchy's philosophy of a new world in the coming cycle. Timbris is in possession of a mysterious device that once belonged to the instigator. It periodically floods his brain with deja vu-like symptoms, which we learn is used to control the memories remaining within them during each cycle. Timbris leads Virus and the victims through the district unharmed until they end up in a survival of the fittest free-for-all, resulting in having to fight their way into the belly of a beast to hide until everything is erased. Facts. Virus Baseborn wanted a brawl scene with him and Timbris back to back, essentially. Facts. The Beard Gundam is a mutant who shrunk and operates androids as vessels. That particular G-type could also manipulate hair. Facts. Timbris' use of invisibility is all about strategic timing. Facts. The Psyquadron is a centaur race that was created in a lore contest by the player of Timbris, and so he received an ally. Attack on the Abyss was an event that was exclusive for Ivan and Kay. Because of Kay's experience, lineage, and abilities, he was chosen to fill the role of the Survey Day Finder, a badge of power and responsible for the takedown of specific G-types, it seems. This is what the cult believes, at least. We learn it is really a role to mitigate the abyssal contamination in the tank, the Abyss being a realm that saps life force into the void, essentially a cancer to the entire project. With robes granting K. McVeigh access to the Abyss realm, he finds Ivan and the inhabitants of the Abyss, and they fight while pulling each other back and forth between both the Abyss and the ethereal realm. We are then introduced to a new character, an inhabitant of the Abyss named Selena Rend. We learn that she, or it, is one of the eldest abyssal entities in the realm and fights with Ivan to let it out, but Ivan ignores it. It then interferes in the battle using Kay's robes to travel through and disable him with its sheer power. Ivan then sends Kay into the void as a hostage and allows Selena to exit the void. K. McVeigh's goal was to enter the Abyss alone and bring Ivan into the ethereal, where his army would ambush him. Kay then wanted to trick Ivan into thinking that he was in the Abyss when really he'd be in the ethereal by manipulating his reality using his Pioneer's link. The first thing I thought was, well, that could never be, because Ivan would know he isn't in the abyss the first time he goes to do a fade step, as fade stepping is him traversing through the abyss where time and distance can mean nothing, thus seemingly teleporting when emerging from it. Even though Kay McVeigh lost his role, I still thought it would be fun and kind of a challenge to make that portion of his submission come true. And it hit me. His robes. If he's using his keyword to make his robes a conduit, reaping the abyss realm's souls and other souls, then it could be used to emit what it is absorbing temporarily, fooling Ivan. Facts. Selena Rend is Ivan's friend in real life. There is absolutely nothing wrong with inviting friends to play, and I encourage it, of course. Facts. Selena Rend is one of my favorite characters, mainly because her design is of Ivan's lore, adding more depth to him, and I look forward to seeing their chemistry and roleplay. I get a Carnage and Venom type vibe. Facts. Ivan sent people to Sector 12 to learn about the Survey Day cult, but the cult is more sacred than that. Facts. Ivan messaged me, telling me to cut back on the comic relief with Ivan. Facts. Erasing the world was for anyone who wanted to face the light. It was taken by Fire, Void Mackay, R-Type, and Tempest, who was accompanied by his Topgate agent, Chronicle. Kai Excalibur, also known as Fire, was technically in sustained chaos, which is why we saw him burning the city down along with bridges and robbing banks in the background. Flexing the story over everything muscle, Fire was pulled into this event as it was his responsibility to make sure nothing interfered with the light's function. But Fire was pretty much in two events. It's just when he was finished with the other event, I pulled him into the last one. With Fire's new armor, he could fly at supersonic speeds, allowing him to destroy objects on impact. R-Type struggles against the light. Tempest and Chronicle slow the light down, giving R-Type a break. Chronicle is erased and Tempest displaced, buried alive to suffocate and die. Mackay and the Mage Brothers arrive, but the light makes short work of Void Mackay's serpents and clan members. Fire battles Void Mackay, but could not endure Mackay's combat ability. Mackay goes to attack the light, but is again attacked by Fire, and the two battle more until the light erases both of them, especially Abyssal Mackay, as not to give the abyssal contamination a chance to affect the most important part of the experiment. This doesn't fully erase Mackay, and the instigator is forced to abort as commanded by the Uncount. The tank is then power erased, but R-Type X's Kamikata, an amped form of R-Type, remains and destroys the light, then heads for their command center ship outside of the tank. The Uncount hits the kill switch powered by Saoirse's mutation and turns R-Type into an abomination. The instigator then restarts the cycle with tweaked code. The instigator and the Uncount then go to sell their selected G-type, Shade, to a client named Doug. The instigator then traps Zamina's consciousness in a pit of Takena fire in a pocket dimension. The command ship is attacked by bounty hunters coming for the instigator, and he is forced to flee into the tank, but not after taking the key to the controls with him. We then get a glimpse of his pursuers, a woman with 8 eyes and a humanoid wolf pirate. The instigator is shot out of the sky by Anarchy's air forces and thus captured before he could bestow memories into Anarchy so he'd remember who he was. We then learn that when Tempest wakens in his room, he remembers everything. Tempest also gets to remember everything from his last cycle when he discovers a temporal anomaly that was able to resist the erasure by a very powerful version of himself from the last cycle, containing information about the last cycle for anyone who finds it, which happens to be himself, Tempest of Time. The light is a golem created by the instigator and could erase any being within the tank. It has no feeling and it cannot die. R-Type's Iblis energy corroded the magic that powered it. Facts. The instigator didn't erase Tempest because he secretly wanted to see if Tempest could transcend as well, but by then was too focused on R-Type and Makai. Facts. Makai is contaminated with the Abyss from his revival, and the Abyss is the only thing in the tank that cannot be controlled, which is why erasure needed to be commenced as soon as possible. Facts. Now on to rewards, results, and perks. I will explain the result of your character's actions as in where they stand currently in the narrative. I will announce rank shift changes and distribute keywords if any. Remember, keywords are special words that attach to your character's abilities, allowing you to expand the umbrella of their capabilities. Non-KI. You are now somewhere with the Safe Haveners, all of your memories intact, but also have some serious internal bleeding from burned organs. You don't know Deathtude's plans, but you're tagging along for the ride. All the little tasks and missions you and Drav have been assigned to leading up to now teaches you that Drav is crazy, evil, and a powerful ally. I tell you this because in your submission you did ask to get to know your allies a bit more. You are now above average rank. Your combat discipline ability gains the keyword Psyche. Deathtude taught you how to incorporate 6's Psyche sealing ritual into your own discipline, which also involves cards. With the keyword Psyche, you can expand on this concept as long as it involves the Psyche. Do what you will. You also gain the perk Reliable. You and anyone you were allied with in the event get a +2 rank shift to odds of success as long as it involves a strategy involving you. Dravko Mas. You are also somewhere with Safe Haveners with all memories intact. Deathtude has also stored away all of the District 9 prisoners ready to be commanded by you in the next cycle. Deathtude respects your power. You go from average to above average rank. You gain the keyword Fear and can be applied to one of your 3 abilities. You also gain the perk Collateral. As long as your actions involve destroying or using the environment to fulfill your objective, you gain a +1 rank shift to odds of success. Rezanok, also with the Haveners. Safe and sound, Deathtude wanted you for mysterious reasons. You go from average to below average. Granted, you were pulled from a situation and put into a worse situation. The story is held over competition, if you can call it a competition. You don't gain keywords because your ability does what keywords do. In this scene, you witnessed a small healing factor in nuclear radiation powered by emotions. We've spoken about the limitations already. You do gain a perk though, Bloodlust. This is a mind state that you learned about in this battle. When you choose to give in to these instincts, you tend to do whatever you need to do to bring about the person's power, no matter how heinous or evil they are. And the caveat to this is, you give me complete control over what it is you're doing in order to bring about the person's abilities, because I will likely know what needs to be done. And you won't be able to remember what you did, but you'll walk away with an analysis. Whenever you decide to give in to your bloodlust, all you have to do is document that in your submission. Luperkin. You can assume you have been placed back inside of the Western Ward. Not a thing has changed in your life, and you still try to stay alive amidst Western Ward street crime. You go from above average rank to average rank. You gain the keyword Determination. Do what you will. You gain the perk Looper Survival. Luperkin gains a +2 rank shift while in the Western Ward. If the location of the event is unspecified, you can declare by way of submission. If the location of the event is unspecified, you can declare in your submission that it is taking place in the Western Ward in order to enable the bonuses from your perk. Jeremiah was placed back into a fully functioning Atlas Corp, still merged with the Gate Center. It doesn't even cross his or anyone's mind as to how he rose to power, but he often looks at his hand whilst feeling deja vu and also the thought that it just felt right. Jeremiah is accompanied by 2 bodyguards. One, very cold-hearted like death itself, and great at killing people. The other, hot-headed and great at removing bodies and evidence. For some reason, Jerry is just comfortable with them. Jeremiah goes from average rank to below average rank. You gain the keyword publicity. This can be interpreted many ways when attached to any of your 3 abilities, so let me know what you come up with. You gain the perk, the power of Atlas Corp. Every story phase you can submit lore about a new business Atlas Corp owns. These will be ones that you create with 3 details made by you, and we might leave 1 bullet point for the community to come up with. Myra. As a part of Anarchy's reward for his assistance last cycle, Myra is somewhere in the confines of Sector 12 and Anarchy's grip. Wherever you are, you remember just yesterday visiting St. Imelda's after an Atlas meeting about investments in St. Imelda's. Somehow you ended up as Jerry's close friend through some bizarre events, is what you tell others and recall from your memory. But now, in a blink of an eye, it seems foggy, and you're in an unknown area hostage. Also, creeping through you is Takena magic, and though you can't understand it, you're certain you could use it. Your rank goes from average to below average. You gain the keyword Takena. Though, in the episode I made it so you could fire a bolt of Takena, you can attach it to any of your 3 abilities and come up with something more fitting to Myra. Let me know what you come up with, though. Saoirse. You are also in an unknown area, but just like Deathtude, you know how to come and go. Technically, you failed against the event. Though your battle against Chaos was in your favor, the android wanderer got to you, but you were spared by the story. It was an introduction. Wherever you are, you have knowledge of the cult just like Tempest, and you feel something lies far beyond the sky. You go from average to below average. No keywords. You gain the perk G-Type 2. You gain an automatic +1 rank shift when opposed by G-types. Poke Turner. You are in Neutros, a realm the instigator in Zemina doesn't know exists. You weren't erased, and you were overlooked during G-type replacement and have been a forgotten G-type since the 2nd cycle. You retained your memory of everything, as usual. You go from average to above average rank. You gain the keyword Interfere. You gain the perk Meddling. G-types you assist gain a +1 rank shift to any objective they are trying to achieve. Anarchy 12. You are in Sector 12, and from it, you have power over all of Haven. Your android army is endless, and you see everything, and you enforce your philosophy of survival of the fittest. You don't recall memories of the cult or the events from the last cycle. However, you have Myra and the instigator hostage. In your next submission, we'll need to know what your plans are with these. Myra is one of many random G-types that you have hostage, but the instigator came from outer space. Also, as a reward from what you were achieving in the last cycle or the past episode, after the war that broke out between all of the alpha G-types who congregated in the Shade District, one remained. And you and me will talk about that one because they are going to be loyal to Anarchy 12. You go from exceptional rank to incredible rank. As a bonus reward, I'm giving a bonus rank shift to reflect the rise of power given by the tank settings via the instigator. You are now ranked at awesome. You gain the keyword vision. No perks. But we'll discuss what you want to do with the instigator and Myra. Kai Excalibur, you have been placed back onto your island. The entity is still inside of you, and you devote your time to your experiments, as well as your 13-year-old daughter growing up on the volcanic island. Sometimes you can't help but feel an urge to head into the mainland to protect something. You go from above average to high. You gain the keyword new tech. With the money you amassed from the last cycle, you have created a new, unprecedented fire-based technology. Let me know what ability you attach it to and come up with. But to the thing about your urge to head to the mainland, if you recall, the instigator made it so that you will be triggered to protect the other 2 orphan sisters when they're in danger. Keep that in mind. Tempest, you have placed the Gate Center on the forefront of Gamma Science. Thanks to Blau Himmel and yourself, you have learned of the dormant Gamma mutations within people before the Gamma event even occurred. This is due to the intense deja vu Blau and Tempest have. This is due to the intense deja vu that Blau and Tempest have had, leading them to scientific revelations. Deja vu is code left behind from other cycles and signs of the tank malfunctioning, and likely happens more with Tempest due to his manipulation of the time each cycle. The Gate Center turns its worthy members into agents and heroes who protect the city and have tension with Anarchy 12 and his lawlessness regime. You recall everything about the cult, being some sort of shadow group who will bring upon the Emerald Prophecy. You go from above average to high. You gain the keyword third eye. Let me know how you interpret this. You gain the perk Deja Vu. Briefly recalling the past cycles, your story phase choices tend to lead you down fruitful paths. Timbers, you are in your home. You remember everything and have a vision of a beautiful Raelagarian woman pleading for you to free someone from Atla. You eventually realize something is wrong, and all you know is that it must have something to do with the Green Cult and or Anarchy 12. You go from average to above average. You gain the keyword memory. You gain the perk strange device. You hold a device that keeps you aware of previous cycles and their events that may open up many doors for you and others you share your clout with. Jax Erlin, you were back in your respective district doing what you were doing before the cultist attacks. Seemingly a swordsman with superb reflexes and incredible intuition, you can discern lies and you have a great judge of character. Your mutation, though inactive, bled through you. You go from average to below average. You gain the keyword destiny. You gain the perk duelist. Jax gains a +2 rank shift versus another player facing him alone. Now, to shine some light on what I mean by that is, when I put you all into different groups, you end up on certain paths where you will encounter each other in certain parts of the story. You'll see this happen a lot when there's an event that a lot of people are in. I put you all in different groups. Based off of what you're submitting, your life path may or may not put you in line with another character. Psycho. You are at the Aurelio dinner table eating with your crazy ass family. You go from average to below average. You gain the keyword respect. You gain the perk mindless violence. You gain +2 rank shift if you bring your craziness into an event occupied by at least 2 other players. Virus Baseborn. You were placed back into the district, performing vigilante justice, and are in the middle of finding the last caretaker. You go from above average to high. You gain the keyword crowd control. You gain the perk hunter. When searching for something or someone in your story phase, you get a +1 rank shift to that odds of success. Void Makai. You are in a pocket abyssal dimension and unaffected by the erasure and tank coding, therefore having all of your memories. At any time, you can exit into Nibu and discover the new coded world of Cycle 78. You go from above average to high. You gain the keyword Nibu. You gain the perk Nibu symbol. The return of Tetsuya is the return of Nibu power. When you are victorious in your actions, Nibu will be victorious geopolitically as well. The Instigator. You are currently in the confines of Sector 12. The most important part of your ship has flown off just before you crashed and is hidden on the planet somewhere. Without access to the device to trigger Anarchy 12's memories, he is a threat to you. Your rank goes from average to above average. You gain the perk Meta Tank Knowledge. You know of secret areas, compartments, and controls that can be accessed from the inside of the tank, giving you a +1 rank shift when scheming in the story phase. R-Type X. You are currently under Atlas, stowed away in a coma as a 12-year-old child. This is called the nursery, and you are being guarded by the mother, which looks like a large feathered bird, all white with green veins. You have no memories of anything other than Ray Lagaria and your nation that you had left in search of Zemina, who we know you'll never see again. Libra has been removed and is stored not too far away from you beside the mother. Your 12-year-old body has no impact on anything. It's just for story purposes. You lost the power of fulfillment, however, removing your +1 rank shift bonus, but gain it back for being successful in beating the event, remaining at superhuman. You gain the keyword perfection. K. McVeigh. You are currently in the abyss, locked away with all memories intact, and will only be able to escape it by way of role-playing in a story phase. You go from above average. You lose the keyword Takena Soul Conduit because the robes have been removed. You gain the keyword explosion. Selena Rend. You ducked into a pocket abyssal dimension, avoiding the erasure, and can enter the material realm with all of your memories. You go from average to above average. You gain the keyword Old Wisdom. Ivan, your memories are intact. You have Kay as a hostage, and all of your gangs are still orchestrated by you. You go from average to above average. You gain the keyword Sever. Due to the increase in abyssal contamination in the tank, you gain an additional rank, making you high rank. Now to some Q&A. Players can always send questions by way of the Contact Us form on the PnDRPG.com website, or send them through the Anchor app and or Discord servers. The first question is from Void Mackay.
Question. I want to know, why did Void Mackay at the ending, when he got erased by the light, why did he come back? That was a pretty cool segment there, and I want to understand that.
Thank you. This scene was to further highlight that not only is Void Mackay an abyssal entity and contaminant, but also that the abyss is not of the tank and therefore mostly resistant to being erased completely, but more so moved around.
Okay, so this is a RTX question exclusive for the character asked by the creator. I've noticed in the storytelling there are some safety measures. There's characters who know everything that's going on with season two and their memories weren't changed. There's a lot of characters out there whose memories were changed. There's characters out there who have countermeasures or measures in place that helps them regain their memories. With Libra, is it possible that when RTX gets the Libra back from the golem that's protecting him, if I heard this story correctly, is it possible that not only will he be able to sit there and regain the memories from season two and everything that went down, but is it possible that he can actually have, because the Libra was fully awakened by RTX, will he be able to sit there and also have the Libra fully awakened and all the god shit it comes with?
Yes, it is possible because the instigator created Libra to be something that transcends the cycles. It remembers everything from the past cycles, which is what Libra does. And it's all about the experience that you gain. So if you were to get Libra, I mean, that's what pretty much happened when you reached Kamikata, which was a move created by you. But it's when your Libra taps into everything that it has learned and over the past 77 cycles. So in turn, that makes you really experienced. When you get Libra and you tap into Kamikata, um, it would be pretty powerful. But even just when you get Libra, it will have the experience.
Question two is a simple one. Um, it's only in regards to a lore contest win. It was uh, the win about the getting a powerful ally that will help me out. Now the question is this: has the powerful ally already been affected into the story already? If it has, I just it was just a simple question of like what it was, just so I know for future reference. If it hasn't, is it possible to still gain that powerful ally for season three? Um, if it is, there's a couple ideas I'm kind of already kind of going into my head right now. Um, So if it is, I mean, depending, this is going to be like a one-on-one conversation. You can answer. We can sit there, hit the DMs, and talk it out. If it's if you want to go down that route. If it's already something that's already passed, no big deal. It's just in the back of my head.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Good question. The powerful ally was the mother, aka the mother goose, and will be something that we go into more in the coming season. Because the mother was created to be a stationary entity under Atlas, I couldn't really get her to appear as an ally per se from where you were fighting the light, but still made an appearance nonetheless, and there will be more to come. So when I said the mother, I am referring to the mother goose, which is what you created by way of the lore contest. But you can probably look forward to that being an ally at some point or at some point, in the story.
All right, question number three. Though RTX memories have been wiped, and let's just say somehow the Libra does not reinvigorate the memories before, from past, or let's say before he gets the Libra back, let's say when he gets up or free and he's able to be a character again, is it possible for RTX to still, even though he doesn't know who they are, where the Uncown and where the instigators originally were, is it possible for him to still feel their energy signatures, their location? Like I imagine it like him being like kind of like having a really really bad feeling come from right there. Point to a direction in the sky. I have a bad feeling coming from right there in the sky. I don't know what the fuck it is. It makes me pissed off, but it's bad. I don't know what it is. Can that hold true for RTX in season three?
Yeah. Yes and no. Okay, so ultimately, yes, to an extent. When R-Type was able to sense their energy signature, it was because he and them were like the only living energy signatures within that area in space at the time. Like spotting a person far away in a desert. In a vast desert, you can still see them. Um, Also, R-Type was in an amped up state called Kamikata, which increased your energy senses. If you achieved Kamikata and concentrated, it may be possible to gain, but difficult. Additionally, it is very possible to have a moment where you sense something that you associate with danger and deja vu, because that has been a recurring theme, similar to how when Saoirse looked directly up into the sky, right into the instigator's camera, or when Tempest and Blauhimmel felt deja vu when they saw the light. Um, your senses will, the normal person who doesn't have energy senses are sensing these things. So you can probably imagine that R-Type will be able to feel something, but you'll just have to see. So I have a question here, sent from the website, from the contact us form. The question is, do the characters recall anything from what happened in Big Tank, or in the case of bootstrapping powers like Myra and Rezanok, retain any powers they picked up during the tank? Also, is Makai alive again, and what was Anarchy 12's motive for taking Myra alive? Okay. Yeah, memories are a big aspect of the experiment because experiences and trauma directly correlate to a G type's growth. This was the 77th cycle and version of each of your characters, where what you remember from the previous cycle is selected to benefit the growth of your G type. This past cycle, your mutations were cultivated through chaotic events. And now, this cycle, the instigator plans on bringing them out a different way. You are all replaced with altered and tweaked versions of your past selves, memory and all. The entire experiment starts G-types off with no active powers. This was how the series started, and so it was repeated with each event that brings your powers out, being different. If you created a character with a backstory cemented in having your powers for a long time, then that's fine, but you have to remember that the powers were given to you by the gamma event or calamity. Um, well, the event that happens every cycle at whatever time the instigator was setting it at. History doesn't exist in the tank and can Anarchy's motives is something that he'll probably make clear soon in the coming episodes. Of course, he'll have to. We can't expect the new players to come in and watch all the episodes, but if they do want to know more about the world that they're in and the characters that they're in it with, they'd best listen to the episodes or talk to the players in the game or the character themselves. Would I rather a player listen to all the episodes so the vids get more views, plus ensuring the player knows who's who and what's what, as opposed to writing it up and recaps and putting them on the website? Yes. Yes, I would rather them watch it. Am I opposed to someone gathering this info and making a guide for others? Nope. Nope. So I say that to say Anarchy has been pretty clear about his motives when capturing G types and has done so before the Omegas. No, was yeah, he did the same thing with Omega Supreme. Um and at the time of writing this, I don't know what he's planning on doing, but I do know he could kill Myra, which makes me think he'll likely try to get the most out of this before freeing her, if he does free her. The next question is, can everyone come back to life now? Looper, Jax, and Jeremiah were good characters, and I'd love to see them return. Also, this might sound like a stupid question, but is Makai still going to be Void Makai? It's a new cycle, so there isn't much reason for him to have died, at least yet, but the Abyssal Realm also transcends the cycle's resetting, if I understand it correctly, so it's possible he could stay the same. Also, R-Type wasn't even in this universe. Who would have killed him? Oh, one last thing. Is Kay McVeigh still flying endlessly through the Abyssal Realm? This sounds like a plausible yes to me. Okay. Yeah, memories are a big aspect of the experiment because experiences and trauma directly correlate to a G-type's growth. This was the 77th cycle and the version of each of your characters, where what you remember from the previous cycle is selected to benefit the growth of your G type. In this past cycle, your mutations were cultivated through chaotic events, and now this cycle, the instigator plans on bringing them out a different way. You were all replaced with altered and tweaked versions of yourself, memory and all, by way of code. The entire experiment starts G types off with no active powers. This was how the series started, and so it was repeated with each event that brings you your powers being different. If you created a character with a backstory cemented in having your powers for a long time, then that's fine, but you have to remember that the powers were given to you by way of a gamma event, which happens every cycle at whatever time the instigator set it at. History doesn't exist in the tank. It can and has been rearranged over and over to get the mutations just right. Whenever a player references something of their character's past, that memory could be one of 77 cycles. Whichever they choose to put in their bio is up to them, but just how comic book characters have many storylines, so does yours in the context of the tank being born of an endless cycle of life and limbo. That said, unless it was specified that you don't have powers, like when I specifically said R type was separated from Libra, something like that, then you still do have your powers, but they are dormant and won't be activated until the Gamma event, where the instigator was going to try and build off of the last cycle's progress. That's all it is. So, yes, Myra, Rez, your powers are still there. No way would I want to go back into the character sheets and erase and rewrite stuff, nor would I want to reset the game and call it a timeline. That's lazy. And I have no reason or need to reset. This was always meant to be reset in the tank, but not in the literal sense. And to wrap up the Q&A, allow me to clarify some things. I know it can be difficult to follow without pictures or transcript, but for the most part, it's simple if you think about it this way. Either I said it in an episode and it's now canon, or I didn't say it in an episode and it's open for speculation and interpretation. There is an area where things are left open for interpretation because I have to leave room for the players to be able to create things. So it's not a definite yes or no. So I just flat out won't mention it. So I can understand why people would be confused. Like, hold up, is he saying that, what is he saying here? How much is in control? So, but just understand that that's part of it. In this case, I said everything was erased and gave a glimpse of the next cycle. I even mentioned powers were inactive. And without understanding the meta fully, you can't make an accurate assessment of your character situation until I give more information. Looper, for example, can speculate but can't accurately plan anything until he knows what Looper remembers and what was tweaked. What the player knows about their character's origin and what the character knows about their own origin are two different things. My point is, memories up to this point are programmable and everyone's life paths were heavily manipulated. When I say you don't have powers, don't panic. I don't plan on writing an episode about a bunch of powerless people. That's what Village is for. Which leads me to PnD updates. I am very excited to start making shorter, more frequent episodes starting with Village, with back-to-back phases per universe. I mean, think about it. Look how long this PnD cast is because of how many things I gotta go over. I'll also be bringing back lore contests. I'll also be bringing back those lore contests in the comments section. I had a reason for holding back on those. I am in the process of updating and moving the PnD wiki to a better website that can accommodate the lore, as I will be opening the floor up a lot to more lore submissions in various capacities. Gotham Pop is now a Discord admin and is helping lighten the workload in the realm of organization and technical stuff with the Discord, and I thank him. I also want to lift the lid on the artwork thing that I've been talking about. I met some folks who said they're going to provide some art, but it's been a while and nothing has been produced by way of our business relationship. So it's still in the oven. But I bought a second oven and decided to make my own, and I ain't talking stick figures. I'll be creating some art with my own style, in addition to opening up art submissions that we will feature on the website. I also want to announce that the Geek Squad is open to making tracks just for your character for a donation of $20. Maybe you want a theme to play in your fight scenes or scenes when your character appears. The Geek Squad will consult with us to forge a theme tailored for your character that you can have for non-commercial use, and will also be included in a compilation of Gamma Haven music that will eventually be made, but your character's theme song would be in that cemented. Every dollar goes to supporting the machine, of course. If you aren't quite the music enthusiast and still want to donate and support us, feel free to utilize our PayPal link in the description. Last but not least, I want to announce that we will be hosting a prequel/season 1 award show for Gamma Haven and want to give you all a chance to create the categories of the awards. Stay tuned for more information on that. If you're listening to this, I am currently finishing up Village. Gamma Haven has some traction, some history spanning over a prequel and a whole season now. The Village just has one episode. It's my goal to make Village just as fun and exciting, and this goes for every universe to come. So let us officially move from the Emerald to the Topaz.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.